Daily vlog number 114. If you're like me, you were taught that the third commandment, thou shalt not take the Lord thy God's name in vain, certain things you just default to King James, meant that you shouldn't be asking God to damn something, and you shouldn't be calling out to Jesus Christ when you stub your toe. However, I think there's a little bit more to it than that. And that's what we're going to discuss on today's 3-Minute Theology Thursday. The word that's translated as vain literally means empty. Don't treat the name of God as something that is empty. But before we get on to treating the name of God empty, let's figure out what the name of God means. Throughout the Old and New Testament, a person's name meant something about them. It was often used to describe that person's character. So when the third commandment says, don't take the name of God in vain, we can interpret that to mean don't do something that treats God as meaningless, empty. Don't misrepresent the character of God. Now, with that understanding of taking God's name in vain, it opens up a whole new can of worms. Because how do we misrepresent the character of God today? When someone claims that God has told them to do something, or they're doing something because God wants them to, and it doesn't really match with the revealed character of God in the scriptures, then that's taking God's name in vain. Or anytime we've claimed the name of follower of God or Christian, and behaved in a way that makes other people think that we don't really regard God that highly if we're going to act so differently from how He has called us to, then that's taking God's name in vain. Every person who's put their hand on a Bible and been sworn into office, who's then broken their vows in one way or another, has taken God's name in vain. Every Christian who's spoken harsh words about someone else, who's engaged in gossip, who's used their faith to justify their hate, who has pursued those things that Christ died to free us from, that's taking God's name in vain. Now, why does this matter to God? Because the people of Israel and the Church of Christ were meant to be God's representatives in the world. And if we're not going to honor His name by living according to His character and will, then we are taking His name in vain. We are treating it as something meaningless, empty, unimportant. And so the next time you stub your toe and cry out to Jesus Christ, or ask God to damn the guy that just cut you off in traffic, remember this. While I'm sure God's not pleased about that, He is even more unpleased by all of those who claim to follow Him, yet continually misrepresent His character and His love in the world. So who do you know that's been a good representative of God's character? Someone who is not taking God's name in vain, but instead revealed God's goodness and love to you? Let me know in the comments below. This has been Daily Vlog number 114.
251 to go.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.